I just wrapped up facilitating breathwork at one of the most powerful events I've ever been to. And from the beautiful mountains of Mexico, I want to share with you the most powerful insights I've got so that you can apply them in your life. And from the bottom of my heart, I trust this is going to be valuable to you. For the last few years, I've had the unique opportunity to be at incredible events, personal growth events, spirituality events, where a lot of people come together to tap into the power of growing ourselves as a community. And I've also gotten the unique privilege of being able to facilitate breathwork at some of these events to support people with integrating the transformation that's happening in their body. And they're always impactful. It's like the seasons of life. Like you always get exactly what you're meant to get at the right time. But some of them just stand out for some reason. For me, they stand out because it's almost like hitting a bullseye. It's giving me the right breakthrough, the right awareness at the right time in my life where I'm ready to receive it and actually live into it. And I'm here in Mexico and I'm now camping, just hanging out in the mountains, integrating all the transformation that's happened. Um, and I feel like it's the moment to share some powerful breakthroughs that came through over this retreat this past weekend. And the overall theme is, where in your life are you living outside of your truth? Are you living out of alignment with who you truly are that you didn't even notice, that you don't even know? Because the culture you grew up in, the family you grew up in, the people you surround yourself with, everyone is running the same hive mind in autopilot, and you don't even realize decisions that you're making, ways of being, things that you do and that you just take as normal and as granted in your life. And you've never actually stopped to question, is this really me? Whether it's the relationship you're in, the work you do, the friends you hang out with, the place you live in, the day-to-day life that you lead. How many of those decisions are simply autopilot? The same pattern, the same overarching energy running through you, just like it does with everyone else around you, your parents, your family, everyone you surround yourself with, your coworkers, everyone making the same decision without actually stopping to question it. Now, there's a powerful, interesting conversation of where the hell does this even begin? What was like, where do we trace back these patterns to? But for today, I think the most powerful thing that I learned at this retreat was how simple it is to break free from it. I think sometimes we tend to make things too complicated. One of the biggest pieces of feedback I get when I'm facilitating at retreats is like, "Oh my god, like this is so simple. Like, is this it?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah." Like, who gave us the story that creating a life that feels really authentic and transforming ourselves from the inside out has to be complicated? I think sometimes people drive validation and some sort of significance from having to go through a 1,000 step, really complicated process to achieve a result. And I just genuinely believe in you. I genuinely believe in our power to create a life that's amazing and fulfilling and aligned. And I don't believe it has to be complicated. And that's one of the biggest things that came up at this retreat is, what if breaking free from patterns that you're not even aware of was the easiest, most simple thing in the world, because you're just being you. That's kind of effortless. I remember this time in my life where I was just like starting like my career and getting started with like the space of personal growth, and I really wanted to travel the world, and just like live nomadically for a while, just to get the experience of like experiencing different cultures and different places and all these things. And I don't know what the equivalent of that is for you, but like whatever dream, whatever thing that you've always wanted to do and never really got the chance to do it. And I remember back in like 2020, I started it. And it was really like such a freeing feeling, but it only lasted like a month and a half because eventually this worldwide pandemic came in, and I almost got stuck in Nicaragua, unable to like come back to Portugal, and I had to like stop my travels in their tracks. But I remember having this feeling of there being like something really important inside me, something really that really mattered to me, that for me to live into, for me to experience, of like traveling and experiencing like different cultures and different places and adventuring out in nature in different places all over the world. And I remember the feeling of having this desire, this calling, to be honest, like it was a calling, and not living into it because the whole world shut down and I was in Portugal and unable to travel for the better part of 2 years. And I don't know exactly where or how in your life that feeling shows up. But my experience is that most people, if you're willing to sit down with yourself, nice place in nature, hopefully, just like take a couple of deep breaths, maybe like slow down enough to notice. Most people have something in their life that they've been wanting to do or experience or be or change for a long, long time. And for whatever reason, haven't. And this feeling of having a dream, and I don't know, again, I don't know what yours is, but if you're watching this, I promise you, you have a dream. You have something in your life that you want to experience, that you want to change. And the feeling of having to put that dream in a box and shove it under the rug and bury it in the ground and not look at it, to me, that's not living. And if you're watching this, most likely you don't believe that burying your dreams is a way to live either. And what was powerful at this retreat, to me, was understanding why it is that we bury these dreams. You see, there's something that you may or may not have heard of, which are called lineage patterns. And it doesn't really matter how they appear or why they're there. A lineage pattern is nothing more than a consistent behavior that's repeated across generations. A phenomenal example, and this is adaptive. This is like an adaptive survival strategy that our nervous system learns from our ancestors, from our parents or grandparents, in order to survive. And how this shows up is, imagine like a really common example is when there are wars or big crises, and there's a generation that experiences famine, for example. There's not enough food or there's not enough water. And they learn to adapt, they learn to conserve, they learn to thrive or survive, to be honest, in an environment of scarcity. And they learn all these strategies, but more so, their system gets the traumatic fear of not having enough, of fearing for your life and not being able to have enough food or enough water to survive. And that's ingrained in our body. And if we don't process that, once things resolve and there's enough food or there's enough water, staying with this example, the situation itself externally has resolved, but the internal experience of scarcity has not left our bodies. And all of a sudden, it's like a lens through which we're seeing reality. And if it's that much of an impactful experience, when people have kids, for example, they unconsciously pass on those behaviors. And unconsciously, again, none of this is intentional, they teach their kids or grandkids or people around them or work like or friends that they spend a lot of time with, they're unconsciously transmitting this energy of scarcity, of making decisions based on not having enough, on not being enough, on being in survival states, hypervigilance of like, what's next? What's my next fear? What's going to happen? Everything's going to go wrong. Because this is the point. They needed that. It was incredibly valuable. They would have not survived incredibly tough circumstances had they not taken on that adaptive strategy. But once that adaptive strategy is not needed anymore, it's a really valuable skill set to be able to release that from our nervous system, from our body, and to not have to carry that moving on in our life. Another phenomenal example of this, I just gave you an example of how this can happen through generations, because again, like if this happened to me and I'm teaching my kids to have these adaptive strategies, then eventually they'll pass it on to their kids, and so on and so forth until someone does something different. A phenomenal example of how this can happen in one individual's life and then be passed on again is if people have a lot of like trauma in relationships, and all of a sudden you think that the reason why further relationships keep not working is because you're not finding the right person, but it's because somewhere along the way there was a traumatic experience that our bodies have not processed, and we just keep repeating it again and again and again because it's in our body. Changing something outside is not going to work. So how does this all come together? Because I started this episode sharing with you that I want to tell you and share with you the most powerful breakthroughs I got from this retreat so that you can transform your life. So if we're wanting to transform our life, but we're understanding that it's not by changing the external that things are going to change, what the hell's happening here? It's very simple. When we allow our body to process these things in the body, because it's the body that's carrying it, all of a sudden, our entire nervous system goes, because the reason why there's something in your life, a dream or something that you really want to experience, that you really want to manifest, that you want to live into, and it's not happening yet, or it feels like it's really hard, it's because your nervous system is going, or like it's literally contracting, and it's pushing away. Yes, there's a part of you that wants to experience the new relationship, the better way of living, the new hobby, or the new home, or whatever it is for you, the new job. But if your entire body is protecting itself, shields up, it's never going to happen. That's where self-sabotage comes in. And unconsciously we put ourselves in behaviors and circumstances where we're self-sabotaging the thing we most deeply want because our body can't hold it. Because think about it. If our body, again, I'm going to stick with the example of someone who, somewhere along the line, doesn't really matter, someone along the lineage, someone experienced famine due to a war or a crisis, doesn't really matter. If you're wanting to step into a greater vision of abundance in your life, but your entire system is like clenching because at any point things can go wrong and you may be starving, you're not going to allow your life to expand because you're going to be using resources that are valuable if things go wrong. So logically, it makes all the sense in the world. You know what I mean? It's like when someone experiences a lot of pain in relationships and their heart gets closed. That makes sense. If you got hurt in relationships, close your heart so you don't have to feel that pain again. Logically, it makes sense, but it leads to a miserable life. And unless there's actually, like, you're in the circumstance, unless you're in the real circumstance again, like the famine again, or the heartbreak again, and even the heartbreak, I'm going to talk about that later, but unless you're in a circumstance that externally you actually need to go into the adaptive strategy, the adaptive strategy is not going to serve. It's just holding you back. Because I'm going to switch to like the heartbreak piece. That's a perfect example of something that's actually an internal experience, and closing is not going to help you. The adaptive strategy is actually what's causing the challenge. So that's a separate conversation. But the biggest piece is if our body is putting shields up to our dreams, we're never going to live it. So where in your life do you have a dream that most likely at this point some people like don't even look at it anymore? Where in your life do you know that there's a calling, that there's a knowing, that there's a deep desire in you to create something different, to experience something different, to be something different? It's not about better, it's not about worse, it's just about being you. Where in your life are you not being you? And just like settling for the comfort? Because this is the bigger piece. This is takeaway number 2 that I got at this retreat. Most of us have gotten into the habit of trading, of giving away our power, our freedom, our capacity to create a life that is aligned with us. Most of us have given away our authenticity in exchange for comfort and certainty. Where in your life are you giving up your dream? Are you giving up what you truly want in exchange for certainty? Where in your life are you giving away your desire to do work that lights you up and that feeds your soul just for a paycheck, for comfort, for certainty? I'm going to let that one land for a second. Where in your life are you giving away the opportunity to do whatever it is for you? Like for me, I love traveling. I love experiencing new things. I love being out in nature. That to me is what fills me up, so I align my life with it. Where in your life are you giving away your time just because you're supposed to work a lot, or you're supposed to do this, or you're supposed to be there for other people? Again, I'm just trying to come up with examples that might land for you, but this is a you reflection. This is for you to sit with. Where in your life are you giving away a dream for certainty? Because what most of us don't realize is that this whole like life thing is a school. And it's not a school of being inauthentic. We're here to be us. You're here to be you. And we keep coming back lifetime after lifetime, like again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And we get stuck in the illusion that this is real, that like the job is real, that the financial pressure is real, that the challenges in relationship are real. Whatever it is that's going on in our lives, we get stuck in thinking that that's real, that that's what's really happening. And what's really happening is we're here to remember that we are creating our lives. Now, a really important point that I want to make is, what about people who were born in really horrible circumstances? What about people that go through really horrible, traumatic things? What about that? Like, are they creating that? I personally don't believe so. And it breaks my heart to see a lot of what happens in the world. And I couldn't be more honest with you. I don't understand. I don't know why such horrible things happen. It just doesn't fit the puzzle for me. I don't understand it yet. But I do know that we have the power to create a life beyond our wildest dreams. And I do know that the more of us do that, the more people get to do that. There's this incredible story about a man called Roger Bannister, I believe, and he was seeking to run the 4-minute mile. And this is, I don't know, but this is many years ago. I don't know exactly when. And the phenomenal, incredible thing to me about that is, like, even scientists, thought it was impossible. Like, there were multiple cardiologists saying, like, no, don't do it, your heart's gonna explode. Like, all these crazy things. Like, a lot of people believed that the human body was not designed to do this. But this man, Roger Bannister, just believed in it. And he kept training, he kept doing it. No one ever in history that we know of had ran a mile in under 4 minutes. And eventually, after many years of training, he did it. He broke through. Now here's the magical piece that happened. After all this time, no one in humanity had ever done it. One person does it. In the upcoming year or a couple of years, again, I don't know this exactly, but in the upcoming years, dozens of people did it. And since then, hundreds, if not thousands of people have ran a 4-minute mile. What I know, and the reason why I believe in this so much, and personal growth, and doing some sort of somatic thing, for me it's breathwork, but for you it can be dancing or something else, like something that gets you in your body to process things in your life. The reason why I believe in it so much is that as one person does it, it's now possible. And the more people out in the world are creating a life that's authentic and sincere and aligned with their values and their dreams, the more that becomes a reality that's possible for more people to experience. And it all comes down to your ability to be with uncertainty. Certainty is what our body holds on to survive. So I'm inviting you, to look into your life and be actually really fucking honest. When you look at your health, your growth as a person, your relationships, your lifestyle, your work or your mission, your finances, your connection with your spirituality, whatever that looks like for you. How many of those are being ran by a need for certainty, for things to stay the same, for things to be predictable? Because that's the recipe to keep circling round and round in what I call the life carousel. And you're just there. Like, it's a really pretty horse, but it's going round and round in circles. And it doesn't matter how pretty and beautiful it is and how beautiful the song is. You're going round and round in circles. And you're going to stay in that loop again and again. The loop of the same work that never fulfills you. The loop of always being one step away from the life or the house or the lifestyle that you really want. The loop of never being able to open your heart to the people you love the most. It never ends. Because the more we're trying to hold on to certainty, look at what's happening to life. It's contracting. Most of us in the culture are conditioned to believe that the more we hold on, the more we protect ourselves, the more we close our hearts, the more we try to have everything be predictable and certain, the more awesome life is going to be because we know what's going to happen. Great. If that works for you, I'm not going to stop you. I've just seen it again and again enough to really firmly challenge you on that one. Because if that's your truth, phenomenal. For most people, it's not. And you can see it in their eyes. Just stop for a second. How many people in your life can you look into their eyes and see essence, see their truth, see who they really are? When you look in the mirror, do you see you, the real you? Or do you see all the conditioning from your lineage? A repetition of the same patterns again and again. The same people at work, you're behaving just the same. The same thing again and again. And your essence got lost somewhere along the way. And our essences get lost when we do this. How do we get it back? In our body. For me, it's breathing and breath work. We learn to do this. Just open up, let go, surrender. You're like, oh. What about camping in the fucking mountains of Mexico? How about that for a life? It's very uncertain, I promise you. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? But to me, it feels sincere. And if you feel called, like, I would love to hear in the comments or wherever you feel called to share, like, what is that for you? For me, at this point, as I'm recording all this content, this traveling all over the world, connecting with amazing people, facilitating breathwork, and being at these incredible events that light up my soul, supporting my mentors in their mission, it's just, oh my God, what a gift. Having dinners and lunches with mentors and having all these epic conversations, spending time in nature. To me, there's nothing else I would rather be doing. And if something else shows up, I'll just change. I'd love to hear what it is for you. It makes me sad when people give up on living their dreams because they think it's not possible, or it's going to be too hard, or the price to pay is too difficult or too high. I'm not going to stop you. The goal of this podcast is just to inspire you. It's not to do anything for you. You live your life. But I will always be a firm stand that you can. That there's no greater price to pay than to lose ourselves in the process of trying to be like everyone else and trying to fit into all the boxes and who we're supposed to be. There's no greater price to pay. And if that's a price you choose to pay, that's your choice. I just wanted to remind you with this one that it's a choice. It's optional. Whatever thing in your life you think is holding you back from stepping into your dream, it's optional. It's not required. I love you. And as I'm hiking in the beautiful mountains of Mexico, we're about to go spend some time in magical waterfalls. I'll be holding you in my heart and thinking about you. And I sincerely trust that this episode is not just a random video that you're watching for entertainment, and that you sit with it and take a breath and really reflect on what is it for you? What is that area of your life that gets to change, that gets to transform, that you get to breathe into, bring breath, openness, space into, so that you can step into the next level of your vision, the next level of being you, of being authentic. And I'll wrap up with this. The last thing I learned at this retreat was that in this life, we're all looking for a sensation, a feeling, whatever it is. Every decision that we make is in the seeking of something, a feeling of wholeness, of connection, of love, of feeling one with everything. And that is an internal experience. And we think that it's in getting the job or changing the thing that we're going to get that experience. And the magical thing about doing internal work, about growing yourself as a person, is that you learn over time, not just with your mind, but with your body, that it's a internal generated experience. And as you begin to live more and more in that energy of just being you, and whatever experience, love, passion, joy, you want to have more of in your life, you internally generate it. You're not expecting something else to create it for you. Whatever experience most people try not to have in life, sadness, fear, pain, emotional pain, you stop running away from it because you know it's internally generated as well. And if it's coming up, it deserves to be felt. Emotions, feelings, sensations deserve to be felt. That's what opens our heart, is to feel. And as we do more of that in life, all of a sudden, like, our body, our hearts, our nervous systems open to life. And whatever it is that you want more of, it's there because you're creating more of it from the inside out. So I can't wait to see that unfold for you. However it does, feel free to share. I'd love to hear it. I'm sending you lots and lots of love from Mexico, this beautiful mountain where we just watched a glorious sunrise. And we're going to go pack up camp and go for waterfalls. I'll see you on the next episode.